Hello, this is Hooked by Happenstance, and I'm Kendra, and it is time for another installment of Freaker Frog. Freaker Frog is my ongoing series where I face my fear of the unfinished, I go and find my woebegone whips, and I make choices. I decide on the spot whether I'm going to freak out about a project, add it to my on the hook list, and try to actually finish the thing at some point in the reasonably near future, or if I'm going to just accept what is, frog it, take the good yarn out of the bad project, because it's probably a bad project because it's been sitting there that long, like most of them probably are. But then I'm going to take that yarn, reclaim it. As it is currently Scraptember, I will probably try to, within this month, add it into something that I am working on and do something useful with it. So I have, since I moved into my new office, managed to get my stuff down from a gigantic drawer and then some of whips down to that pink crate that I just showed you, which has, I think, the majority of things that need choices made about them. Now, I think today we're going to pick a couple items off the top, things that I brought down from my bedroom. Now, in my room, I had a bunch of things stored, a bunch of containers, and actually they were like wooden crates that I also used for display that had all of my craft show things. For several years, I have been crocheting things for sale and going to craft shows with them locally to me. It has proven that that is not the most cost-effective strategy. Yes, I know. Technically, you can sell things like that on Etsy. It is harder than one thinks to sell finished toys on Etsy because you end up in a weird search with things that are mostly patterns. It's strange. And people don't like to pay what toys are actually worth. So, I was fine selling things like super local to me when I knew the people somewhat and like got the happies of knowing kids in my local community were enjoying them. But my time has seemed to serve me better in other ways, so I have stopped, for the most part, going to craft shows in that capacity because I live in too rural of a place and I don't care to travel to go do them in bigger places because it still has not proven to be cost effective. But anyways, I went through the boxes of things I had made for sale because I had made lots of things over time. Many of them I would show on the channel and everyone will say things like, oh, those are going to sell great. People are going to like those. People who like the fiber arts think that something is good, useful, or will sell does not mean it will. No. It means you end up with a box full of things that people either do not see the value in, do not see the need for, or just don't want. So, I went through and decided what of those items would be practical for gifting. So like a bunch of my Christmas presents are done. What things would just be ready for my own like family to use. So like what scarves and hats and things fit my kids or will fit them and are of their kind of taste in the nearish future. There's a couple of things I pulled out for myself, but mostly the things I made for sale were not of my personal taste because my personal taste tends to prove a bit unpopular when it comes to selling crocheted things. So after all of that, going through the boxes and making the choices and stuff, I ended up with some things that I need to like do some finagling with and make them work better for my family. Maybe I'll do something about that later. I don't know. We'll see. Or I might just make the changes on my own. And I ended up with this little stack of things that I have not decided what to do with. Now, I did take some things and I just put them straight up into the donation box. They went to Goodwill or our local Habitat for Humanity that will either move them along to people who need them or will sell them in their store to make money, and people who like to buy that sort of thing out of stores will buy it and rescue it that way. But this stack we're going to go through right now. I don't decide what to do with it. I have a feeling I know what's going to happen to most of it. I have a feeling you know too. So, here we have a superhero cape. This is one of the first kind of patterns that I designed for myself to start making. You know, the pattern does not exist in the world. It just exists in my brain. And I made a bunch of these. I've gifted a bunch. I've sold a number. My kids use theirs. They're cute and adorable and fun. But they just were not selling and I don't need them anymore. So I have this rainbowy one and I have a camo one because, hello, that's fun. I gave one to a kid. We went to a birthday party and the parents were both in the military and the kid was super excited to have a superhero cape that was camo because, like, that's what's, like, heroic to him. So that was kind of cool. Anyways, these I'm going to frog and reclaim the yarn because I don't need the projects anymore. And that is good yarn and a bad project that has been there for years because those were some of the first things that I was making. Now those particular ones are not like super old, but they're old enough. Next, we have this, which is a Check Me Out hat, which is a pattern I designed for another website. I have one of these. Well, I had one. My daughter has since stolen it from me. It's a hat. And if you just kind of stitch the ears a little, it's cute. It's made flat, so there's no like in the round, but you can still make a hat. And this is made out of Deborah Norville Everyday Soft Worsted in the color Parfait. Can you tell that I've made a number of things out of this yarn that I can just like rattle off its name for how much I get jumbled on names sometimes? But anyways, I made one for like the patterning purposes, and that was my personal one, and my daughter has since taken it and she wears it all the time. This is the second one I made, and I filmed the video tutorial for it with this one. But I have no need for this hat, but I do like this yarn and I've made other things out of it, so I think I'm going to frog this hat and reclaim the yarn. Plus, I will not wear this pattern because I have some feels associated with the making of the pattern and the process and whatever, and so I do not like wearing those patterns because they upset me. So it's gonna go bye-bye. Similarly, this scarf is actually the accompanying scarf, the Check Me Out scarf that goes with the hat. Minus there was a cat detail in the pattern too, but this does not have the cat detail. And this I tried out because I was, again, just testing numbers and making sure that everything worked, because I like to make multiple samples of things before I, you know, release them out in the wild. So this, I even think this might have come up in a Freaker Frog at some point, and I decided I was going to finish it, and I finished it off. And now I feel like it needs to go away. Yes, technically, I'm sure I could donate this somewhere. Probably the same with probably the same thing with the hat. But that is not my thing. I understand that's a lot of people's things. We all donate in our own different separate ways, and this is not my way. So I'm going to reclaim this yarn as well, and also get the catharsis of frogging a project that has some negative feelings involved with it. And finally, there's this hat and mitt set, which this is a Moogly blog. These are both Moogly blog patterns. I made these when I went to visit my parents one of the times I went out by train, because I worked on this on the train. And it has these little black buttons, and there's a heart button on this one. Now, these colors are just super not my colors, so I will not use them. But I bet that if I put this aside, I can probably at some point gift this to somebody. That there's got to be somebody on a Christmas list somewhere that would want this. I don't know. I will put this aside for now because, yeah, till I fully know that I don't have a home for this. But it does not fit anybody in my household, and it's not my style. So, yeah, this I'm going to keep. I'll put it in. I have a few items set aside for that kind of purpose. Kind of a little gifty pile. So I'll add that to the gifty pile. But now I'm going to go and frog some feels out of those projects. Alrighty, so I spent the majority of my evening last night frogging things. But I decided to wait till today to show you what I ended up with, you know, more reasonable hour and such. So I ended up with a purring cat. Hello, Jezebel. And this pile of reclaimed yarn. Oh, it's so much more useful to me now. So my plan is that, like, these big balls will just go back into, like, full-on stash, because this is clearly big enough to make something. It's all one piece. And these little bits will end up in scrap stuff. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this. This could go either way. But like these, this, definitely a scrap. This, maybe a scrap. It probably will be a scrap just for my purposes now. But this is definitely full-on stash. So that was a good and productive endeavor, and I'm glad to have those items out of the stack of random stuff that's just hanging around that doesn't need to be hanging around anymore. So those little balls will go move into the places where the little balls live, and the big balls will go into the baskets with their respective acrylic colors to come out in future Let Peachlet pics, or if there's something in particular that I want to make in a given color. On the screen next to me is a link to another video that you might enjoy, and down below is a link to my Patreon as well as my online shop if you'd like to see my project bags and other fun things. I will see you all next time. Bye!